With the possibility of a Universal Park opening in the UK being more exciting than ever now, given that the public consultations have happened and the public survey that they put out for people to fill in, the deadline has arrived, it's really in the stages of that project now that it goes down to Universal themselves evaluating the feedback they've had into whether they want to progress with this project and what the council says in terms of whether they're going to approve it. But all this excitement has also ignited the conversation, quite rightly, of people saying, what is this going to do to other theme parks in the UK? And is it going to be a bad thing for those other parks that won't have as much money as Universal? And I thought I always sort of touch on that subject in little videos that I make about this park, and I want to make videos of exciting news and speculating what we could get there. I thought it makes sense to also make a video based on this, just because I think it's a good thing that I say what I think on it, and I'd love to hear what you have to think of it. Because I'll be honest, that's the reason why I make these videos nowadays. It's more for the factor of I can share my thoughts on it and hear everyone else's, because that's the thing I love about this community. Apart from when I'm at parks and actually talk to people there, it's great to discuss this with people from our own homes and through the YouTube comment section, and it's a great way to discuss our opinions. Now, the 2 points I want to make. Firstly, again, this is my thoughts on this matter. This most likely won't be the way that things play out if it does go ahead, and I'm sure a lot of you will have different opinions on what I've said in this video, which is what I'd love for you to put in the comment section. I'd love to hear it. And the other point that I do need to make, we're very much in the if it happens stage right now. Although it's very exciting with fences going up around the proposed site and there being crews on site obviously marking things off and putting flags on site, and archaeologists having been on the site and have done surveys for it previously, and it's all seeming like it's moving forward, it isn't necessary yet. They were just gathering data to both feedback to Universal and the council, and this project may never go ahead. It might be a thing where Universal chooses not to, or the council says we've evaluated it and we don't think this is a good idea. We never really know for projects like this. It might not happen. But this video is purely going into what I think this will do for the UK industry if the project does go ahead. And I'm really just going to jump straight into it and not dawdle around the point. And I really do not see this being a major negative drain for many reasons. And the first reason is, although Universal is, yes, a very large company which can afford to put major investments into this park, one thing that I noticed when we went to Florida to Universal Parks, and what you can see when you travel to other Universal Parks, is because they're putting that much more money into the projects, the tickets are a little bit higher in cost anyway. And given that this park will be a brand new thing off the ground even when it does open, which the UK industry will have many years to prepare for really, it's going to be a brand new park. It won't have any sort of reputation to sort of live off for a while in terms of people having trust to this resort, whereas places like Alton Towers, Thorpe Park and Blackpool have been around for many, many years, with Blackpool being stooped in history really, isn't it? That will mean that people in the UK will trust that more initially, in my opinion. Now, I know there will be a surge of new visitors, and over time this will increase in visitors, but when it comes down to the two factors of the cost being a little bit higher and people knowing of other parks in the UK, I feel like that might level the market out a little bit. And that was the other point I wanted to make. I think that we're going to see a lot of parks that survive on their own anyway, in terms of the smaller parks. I don't see it affecting it because they survive in a market where you've got Alton Towers and Chessington and Thorpe Park and Blackpool Pleasure Beach, which are more like large and higher investment parks. They are able to survive against those because of the factor of it's a smaller park and it's got that sort of a draw on it. They'll be able to survive in this market, in my opinion. And also the point I wanted to stress was, given that these parks have got a few years to prepare for this, I think we're actually going to see the UK theme park industry be the best it's been for many years. A lot of people mentioned in sort of the 90s was the Coaster Wars era, with the Big One and Nemesis opening in the same year, and parks sort of having to innovate at such a high rate and invest so frequently, it made it quite exciting. I think we could see this happen if this park goes ahead, and kind of already have. We've seen Bianca step into her role at Alton Towers as divisional director, and it just seems that that park is putting in constant investments, which is the best thing really to see at a park. You think, for Alton Towers' perspective of it, it's gone from getting a little bit more tired and disappointing to be a theme park visitor to Alton Towers, especially when you love it so dearly, with things not being upkept as they should be, to straight away she stepped in. Skyride's closed, who's refurbishing that. Hex is getting much needed investment. They've retracked Nemesis to make sure that that's not only new and improved and something new to market, but made to be maintained and sort of be more consistent for maintenance crews over time. You've had so much more. You've got a new flat ride going in, and it's happening all over the UK. Thorpe Park is putting in Hyperia, which most likely was influenced. They said it was by the London resort at the time, but maybe they had a copped wind thing of possibly a new park opening, maybe Universal or the London resort, and thought, let's step up these investments so by the time this park does open, we've already got these major new rides to market against it. I really do think that this might actually be exactly what we need here. And it's kind of in the thing of, I don't want people to take this the wrong way, because this isn't digging at Merlin, but Merlin I think knows very well, in terms of the budget they can pile into a project, they're kind of the big dogs for the UK, with Thorpe Park and Alton Towers being some of the largest theme parks in the UK, and they're both owned by Merlin, they kind of know that even if they don't put the budget into theme things highly or have little bits that they can improve on, it isn't going to matter because they're the big dogs. They're competing with themselves, with parks that they own. Like we've seen with Hyperia, they sort of were given a budget and they unfortunately didn't have enough to add theming to it, so have gone, we'll go stylized, which although is disappointing, I'm not throwing shade at that because that isn't the design crew's fault. It's more just that they didn't have enough budget left over to put in the more substantial theming. That's fine. I'd rather have Hyperia than them not be able to build it at all because of the theming. But I think it might mean that companies like Merlin are finally going to have to sort of think, well, if it comes down to theming something, they've kind of got to, because Universal sure as hell will be. And we've seen it all over the world with Universal parks. It's the reason that coaster enthusiasts and everyone, and myself included, flocks to Florida all the time. It's because of the parks and the quality of parks like Universal with the theming and experiences they offer. So I want to know what you all think of this. Do you think it will be a positive for companies like Merlin to try and compete with them, or do you think it might have a negative effect? Because as I said, it's only my opinion on it. I'd love to hear all of yours. It's a great thing to sort of discuss our opinions on it and see what other people think on this. I am going to say I'm kind of hoping that we do get this park. I think it would be a great thing, not just for those parks, but especially because of the fact of Universal. Come on, it would be an absolutely great experience to get. I'd love to know what you all think of this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.